What up everyone, it's your man X-Man87 here, bringing you another Marvel Legends video, and what I have for you today is a full review of the Marvel Legends X-Men 97 Wave 2. Before we get into everything, if you could please leave a thumbs up, like rating on the video, it'll help show your support for my channel and I greatly appreciate it. Now with that said, let's go! Gotta start off the review with my favorite X-Men character of all time, and also my favorite Marvel villain of all time, Magneto. Alright, let's take a look at this Eric Lyncher head, and well, damn. Oh, yeah, damn, that's pretty spot on. Okay, this looks good. This looks very good. Look at the hairstyle. It has that kind of, I was about to say Play-Doh, but it has that animation, like a combination of animated comic look to it, and it looks good. I think the facial structure is good, too, for Magneto. That's important, you know. Damn good job on it. Alright, so Magneto here is in the costume where he became leader of the X-Men, and he's on the Vulcan body. But prepare, because I might need to put on my black Air Force Ones and dish it to Hasbro, as the North New Jersey might come out of me, because, what the hell, man. When I bring Magneto from Wave 1, look what they did here, man. Now, I know you guys heard me say in the past that until they find a unique sculpt for Magneto to match that Jim Lee physique when he was built like a linebacker, I said to put him on the Vulcan body for now as a substitute until we get to that one, you know, just to hold us over for a little bit, because I think the Vulcan body, you know, is a good substitute for now. And what the freaking hell, man. Why didn't they just put this Magneto on the Vulcan body to begin with, and then added the parts that he needed? Because you can't convince me that this is the same person out of the armor. Does this make sense? That he's bigger out of the armor than in it? No, it doesn't. It doesn't make freaking sense. Bro, they don't know how to do this freaking character right, man. It's like, I've given up on them making a classic Magneto. I just gave up on them. They don't know how to make this character for shit. And sorry if I sound a little passionate, but you gotta understand, this is my favorite character, and I don't want them to keep butchering him with every release. It doesn't make it fun at all. Just get Magneto right, man. It's like they're not thinking it through. Who the hell thought that, hey, let's put him on the Vulcan body for this one and make him look bigger out of the armor than in it? Like, come on, man. There's no common sense there. Damn, man, this one got the butterfly joints. Ugh, I want a classic Magneto with the butterfly joints. And I don't want you to think that I hate this figure. I don't. I'm actually annoyed, because the more I look at this figure, the more I get annoyed with this one. That's where I stand. There are some good things about this figure. On reveal, he looked like he was going to be my least favorite figure, and he's actually a pretty good figure, mainly because of the Vulcan body. It helps, and it kind of matches his animated style. I love how the M design kind of looks like the shape of the inner part of his helmet. Yeah, I mean, look at this, man. Scrawny legs. He's got more, you know, stature here on the legs. He's just got a better physique overall. Look at those arms. These are new arms, by the way. And, yeah. They got the sleeve aesthetic cut right there, so it is sculpted. I do like that. Freaking another thing that annoys me. Look, in the same wave. Does this make sense? You guys heard me voice my displeasure about this forearm cut on the Vulcan arm, right? And now here's pretty much a seamless forearm that they could have put on the Vulcan mold, and they didn't do it on the same wave. So they gave him a seamless cut here, but they couldn't give Cyclops a seamless cut. This absolutely makes no sense. We're talking about a figure in the same wave. Even before this, they made a seamless cut for the Vulcan arms, and I believe that was on the Astonishing X-Men Cyclops. Yep, I was right. Astonishing X-Men has seamless forearms. Yet they couldn't do that for Kazar, who has naked bare arms. They're doing a lot of things that doesn't make sense. They've done a lot of good things in 2024 so far, but, you know, they're still on their Hasbro bullshit. But I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this figure. You know, the rest of the Vulcan body mold and how it works. I think the only key takeaway here is The pinless joints, a little off-tone from the rest of the maroon kind of color, but the elbow matches. So I don't know why the knees are off-tone, but the elbows match, whatever. But it's a nice cape. I like this cape. It's really good. And the cape has a peg in it, so you just put in the hole to make sure it stays in place. Without the cape, the way he looks is just like this, so you can see it without the cape. And for accessories, he comes with a pair of open hands to display besides the fists. And he has this alternate angry head, and I really, really like this head. This is my favorite head sculpt out of the two. And this is how the head looks on his main costume, and it doesn't look bad. The head looks a little too big on it. It's probably the hair that's making it look big. But then again, this is a tiny body, so at least these heads will give you some more alternate displays for this Magneto. This Magneto isn't that bad, and it's a damn shame an alternate costume got the better buck than his main costume. I won't forgive Hasbro for that until they course correct. Even though it's on a blank body, it's the head sculpts that makes the figure. Again, not too bad. Magneto gets a rating of a 7.5 out of 10. Next up, let's take a look at this somewhat newly improved Nightcrawler. Kurt Wagner, yeah, one of my favorite X-Men's of all time, man. Nightcrawler, yo, this head sculpt is money. I think it came out freaking wonderful. And I'm happy they're not doing the cell shading, but the shadowed cell shading here, the shadowed out face, that just works for me. Love his hairstyle too. They gave it that kind of comic blue touch to it. The yellow eyes really pop. The sculpt on the eyebrows, they really pop out through the paint. And then, yeah, man, this is just so good. And they did upgrade Nightcrawler for us, so he has the pinless arms and legs. I love those smooth aesthetics of pinless joints. We're so close to the perfect Marvel Legends Nightcrawler, too. I mean, all he needs is toe joints for both the front toes and the heel toes, and the rubber bendable tail. I think that's pretty much it. And if they could give us the double diaphragm joint on top of it, yeah, I would say it is the perfect Nightcrawler to have. Oh my god, can you imagine a Moffick's Nightcrawler? Oh man, I'm dreaming of the day already. That thing is gonna be amazing. And these joints, they get a lot of range. Look at that. Heel toe to the butt right there. And yeah, the elbow range, he gets more range than the one that came out in the Wendigo X-Force wave. He's got open hands for his default hands, and even though they didn't make the tail bendable, it is nicely posed, so when you rotate it around, you can still get a nice dynamic pose out of it. You just can't manually do it the way you want, because I want a bendable tail. I want to be able to like hang them upside down. That kind of pose I would love to do. I used to do that with my Toy Biz one all the time. For accessories, he comes with a pair of fists. He doesn't have his swashbuckler sword. I wish that was included. And then he has this alternate head right here. He has a slight grin on it. And this one also looks good. Swapping the heads from the X-Force Wendigo Bath Wave, I will say it is very tight. You can still pop it on there. And just showing you that one. And I'll show you another one. I'm not going to go through all of them. He had 3 heads. But if you have that one, the good thing is that now you'll have 5 Nightcrawler heads to play with on this body. Now, like I said, he doesn't come with his swashbuckler sword, but there is one accessory that's super important to add to get closer to that perfect Marvel Legends Nightcrawler, and that's giving him a BAMF effect. Now, they could have used the Blink Portal effect. They haven't used this since Blink, and even though it's not comic accurate to his BAMF effect, because his looks a little more, roundish and puffy. This one looks a little more sharp and edgy. Still could have worked, but hopefully they would give us a new style of effect for him, and maybe we might get a deluxe Nightcrawler one day. That would be amazing. He would be perfect for a deluxe. Nice upgrades with the pinless limbs, but a few detractors on the accessory selection compared to its Hasbro predecessor. If you have both and combine the two, you'll have expansive options for your X-Men display. Still no toe joints, and the bendy tail is sorely needed though. Maybe some drop down hips would help get more range in that hip area. We are getting closer to the perfect Nightcrawler, but by that time, Moffick's would probably be Hasbro to the punch. I'm giving Nightcrawler an 8.5 out of 10. This first time in the line is a character I've had on my wish list, so let's take a look at the X-Cutioner. I don't know if the animated series will give him a comic accurate origin. I'm not gonna go over that since I'm reviewing 6 figures in one video for time's sake, but just to give you a small taste of what he's about, Carl Denti, aka the X-Cutioner, was a former FBI agent out to assassinate violent mutants using highly advanced weaponry guarded with Shi'ar armor and collected paraphernalia from former X-villains or X-Men. Though he is known as the Mutant Killer, his biggest rival outside of mutants is the Punisher. On Punisher's endless mission to eradicate evil, X-Cutioner was no longer a target of his, as he would eventually turn over a new leaf and retire, realizing he was becoming as evil as those he hunted. He would later come out of retirement, returning as an enemy of the new Marauders team. Oh man, I can't tell you how pumped I am for this character. I was exposed to this character at a very early age. I had the Toy Biz figure as a kid from that retro line, and that was one of my favorite figures. He had such amazing features and such details. To this day, I've wanted him in the Marvel Legends line, and even though he's not comic accurate, they based it off the animated series. Let me tell you, oh my god, I will take this because he still came out phenomenal. And I love his pill-shaped head. It's just so cool to look at. That design is a nice metallic silver on the sculpt. You get nice white pupils on top of it. The aesthetics is all there, man. I really like it. Look at the armor on his arms, and so cool. It's newly sculpted. These are not the Shocker arms. I checked to make sure. Yeah, they're totally different. And just to bring it out so you can see, yeah, the recessed line is much deeper here than on the Shocker. So yeah, oh man, they did a great job with the sculpt. The forearms, here are the gauntlets, the fingerless gloves. FOH stands for Friends of Humanity, and well, I know why. This guy's the freaking Mutant Killer. And yeah, man, this is again really nice details all throughout the sculpt. He's just so good to look at. Whoops. There's his cape, or somewhat of a cape, you know, looks good. It's nice and pliable, doesn't get in the way of articulation, so I do like that. Oh, man, he's on a ball joint too. They just did this figure right. Here's the end part of his jacket right there. It is nice and pliable. You also get a front piece, but it doesn't hinder articulation, which I'm happy about. It doesn't affect the mobility of his legs, and yeah, they gave him a jacket piece for the animated series here, and in the comics, he looks like a knight. He doesn't have a jacket or anything like that. I do feel like we'll get a comic version of X-Cutioner someday, maybe. I don't know when, but that's going to be a lot more new tooling. But at least, for the most part, they got the base parts that they need out to make that comic figure. And he also has new legs, too. I do like that. The heavy duty boots, you know, I would say that's comic accurate because he had those nice heavy duty boots. I like the paint on it. The color tones look to be a little inconsistent, but because of that, some of the off tones kind of work well with each other in a weird way. So like this pauldron right here is a light brown and it matches the gauntlets. And the armbands right here are dark brown and it matches the boots. The arms are that kind of, you know, marbly plastic shimmer that you would get, and that matches, you know, the shoe parts. The metallic silver on his face and the belt, and even right here, they all kind of work well with each other. Now for accessories, it's probably the most exciting part for me. Especially because I know this character from the comics, and he comes with his Sentinel Propulsion Blaster. This is awesome. Now, I don't know how this is going to play into the animated series like it did in the comics where he takes it from a Sentinel, but I'm assuming he's going to take it from a dead Sentinel. And what you do is just basically you put it over his hand. So now his hand turns into a big vibrator. I'm just joking, but obviously you can tell the purple and red, that's Sentinel colors right there, and you get some nice yellow paint in between there. You get some really nice details. I mean, look at that sculpt right there. That's just beautiful. So That looks pretty dope. Next up, he comes with this high-tech rifle blaster. Now, I don't know where this comes from, but knowing the character from the comics, he gets his weapons from other alien races and organizations. So who knows where he got this from? He may have gotten it from the Shi'ar. He may have gotten it from the Skrulls. Or from Hala, the Kree, you know? And maybe the Nova Corps too. So you don't know. Who knows? Just use your imagination. Just run with it. It's really nice detail. I like the gold paint on there. Yeah, it's nice multicolored. And also, it comes with this plastic covering. Now, when I took it out of the packaging, this just fell off. And I just thought it was an extra, you know, that was part of the plastic tray just covering it. But it's a really, really hard plastic piece. And I just saw the shape right there that matches the tip of the blaster. I'm like, no, this is actually part of the blaster. I was about to throw this piece out. So I like that it gives it a nice clear covering. I feel like it gives it more of a futuristic feel. I really like this. I do find that he holds it a weird way, so you're just gonna have to hook that thumb through there on this top part and then loop his trigger finger around the trigger. But to hold it with his other hand, I find myself having to take this hand and grip it on this tube part of the rifle, and I don't know how it looks. It looks like he's holding it in a weird way, you know? I mean maybe you could do this part that plugs into his back, but nah, that just doesn't look right. Looks more like he's reloading his rifle than blasting it. Then lastly, his main weapon, which is the Shi'ar Power Lance. And I like this. I just wish there was a way you can actually connect it so that it looks like an actual lance. Yeah, missed opportunity there. You got the pegs right here. They plug into his blaster. So, and then you can plug it onto his back. There's a hole right there. So you just take the rifle and just plug it right there. I like to switch it up, make it look more dynamic. So I would I would just turn this a little off to the side to make it look like he has more weapons on his back, and it looks really cool that way. I prefer this look. Now for articulation, this guy's really fun to pose. His head moves about that far up and about that far down, and it moves left, right. His head is on a ball joint, so you get lots of pivoting and that nice rocking motion. I really like that. His arms move about that far up, straight T-pose. You know, you can move it up and down. You got the bicep swivel, double jointed pinless elbows that get about, hold on, the arm band is in the way. It gets a good range. I like that. Cool with that. Wrist swivel, wrist hinge. All jointed torso. This is really nice. So he does get some good movement. So it moves forward that much. It moves a little bit. I think it moves a little bit over, right? Yeah, about that much. And it moves about that far back. These straps might get in the way, so it might cause some hindrance when you're moving back and forth, but you just gotta, you know, finagle around it. It's no biggie, but you will feel some friction. And then his waist swivels off to the side. He does have a nice deep pivot. Look at that. And you got that nice rocking motion. But you see what I'm saying? If I try to rocking motion, that strap just interferes a little bit. So nothing that I found bothersome. You just got to be aware of it when you're posing. And then his legs move about that far apart. And he kicks up that far. Could you get a full frontward split? Sort of. I think that's fine for a guy that has, you know, this jacket piece. Good mobility on his legs. You got the thigh swivel, double jointed pinless knees. And look at that, man. Heel to the X-Cutioner butt. Hell yeah, that's awesome. No boot swivel or ankle swivel, but his ankles do move up a good amount. They move down and they pivot all around. The X-Cutioner has it all in terms of visual appeal and aesthetics. The only thing he's missing is extra hands, but his weaponry loadout takes priority, and I understand that. They captured the character on that front. Nothing feels broken up in the combination of sculpt, aesthetics, and articulation, as it's some of their finest work. A damn good job, Hasbro. I'm rating the X-Cutioner at 9.5 out of 10. All other Legends Cyclops step aside, as we'll be looking at the one that dethrones them all. Okay. yeah, this ain't it, man. I'm not feeling this smirk. I needed a stern expression for Summers here, and this just ain't it. And you know, hey, if this was like a third alternate head, fine, that's cool. But I needed that stern, stoic look. But I do like the visor, and it's not like the VHS one where it had this weird cut on the visor. Some of them were, some of them were just off. It would like close in towards the end. I know mine had a problem, which is why I got rid of that. And, you know, once I saw this one, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely getting rid of that one. I didn't like the cell shading. But the hair sculpt looks pretty good. And, of course, he's on that X-Men body where all the straps are keyed in, like the thighs, the boots, and he got his harness right there. Man, I really like that blue. It's vibrant. And that's what I want in a Cyclops. And I need those colors to pop in my eyes. And I like the paint I get here with the red X on the harness right there and on his belt. So, again, man, you already know. Those damn... those damn seams, man. Hopefully when they sell us a comic version that they'll correct the forearms by that time, because I'd never want to see this on a Cyclops ever again. Even though this animated series costume is comic accurate, but you'll know they'll give us that kind of more comic style head sculpt if they ever do release one. And this is definitely going to replace my Cyclops on my main X-Men shelf. So till then, I still got to point out the flaws so they could correct them. He's got those open Vulcan hands for default hands. And my god, man, I love this. Is my definitive Cyclops. Like when I think of Cyclops, this is the first thing that comes to mind, the 90s Jim Lee costume. This is my favorite all-time Cyclops costume. My second favorite is this one right here, the other one from the 70s and 80s. I love this one, and I hope we get an update. Wait, what am I talking about? Astonishing X-Men Cyclops is my second favorite costume. Then this one's third for sure. So my top three, 90s, Astonishing, and then 70s, 80s for sure. Top three, hands down. Okay, this is where they can use that Vulcan forearm seam because it's got the glove cut. So now for accessories, finally he comes with this optic blast effect, which was so needed for this costume like years ago, man. I'm just freaking happy to finally see this damn effect on the 90s Cyclops. Man, this looks good, and he's got the angry head expression to go with it. The teeth look nicely detailed, and I do kind of wish we had a visor, another visor to close that in. Hold on, let me try the Astonishing X-Men Cyclops. I don't know why I didn't think of it. Oh, damn, dude, it doesn't freaking fit. Oh, that sucks. I wish it was the same shape. However, it is possible. You just gotta shave it down some. But yeah, even though it's not plugged in all the way, you get the idea when looking at it head on like this. Then we got the visor trigger hand to go with the effect. And then he has a closed fist, and if you know anything about this 90s costume, he has sort of like Spider-Man's web shooters where it would work as a shooting mechanism. When he squeezes his palm, he didn't need to trigger his visor with his finger anymore. So technically, this would be the right way to display him. Yeah, this Cyclops definitely dethrones the rest. My only gripe is that forearm seam. The smirk head fits for a good tertiary head instead of a default. The colors have that animated vibrancy, good selection of accessories. We finally get the optic blast effects for this costume that plugs into a great head sculpt. Hope we get the bomber jacket soon, but this is the Cyclops I need on my shelf right now. 9.5 out of 10 is what I'm going with for the Boy Scout. A new Jean Grey with an all-new sculpt, so let's see what you got for us here, Hasbro. See, I'm really digging this Jean Grey head sculpt, man. It looks clean. It looks so nice. And y'all were calling me crazy when this figure was first revealed, and I said this one looks better than the Love Triangle 3-pack, and I put them side by side. You know, I stand by what I said here. The head is not oversized. This one's oversized. They got the head the right size. I do like the aesthetic sculpted on the front centerpiece of her headband right there. It's just painted on here, but oh man, no way is this one better. I mean, I don't hate this one, let's be clear. I still like it, okay, but I'm more of a fan of this one. The hair sculpt for sure on the comic one is better, but I mean, because it's got to match the comic style. This is matching the animated style, but it's still nice. And her hair does swivel off to the side, but for anyone who owns this figure already, does this fall off easily? Like, it really pops off. Like, whenever I'm trying to move her head, I notice after a little bit of finagling, it just tends to fall off. Anyways, the rest of the body, I love that they sculpted the aesthetics on this Jean Grey. This looks really nice. All new sculpt pretty much from scratch here. I like that her arms, they sculpted the patch on the sides. This one was just painted. They actually sculpted the torso here, so they sculpt the aesthetics. They only sculpted the shoulder piece for this one. And the shoulder pieces, unlike this one that's sculpted on, this could hinder some movement when moving it up. These are a separate piece, but they move along with the arm. So it can shift forward and back like that. So you can place it however you like it. That doesn't seem bad when I move it back that far. I think that's how it's supposed to look. I think I had it all the way down right here, and I'm like, hold on a second, that doesn't look right. So yeah, that's not the right look. Just shift them all the way back. How do you guys feel about this costume? For me, I like it. I think the only thing is missing is the blue crotch piece. I think that's all that's missing. Otherwise, I love it. You know, new belt piece right there. It's got a nice shimmer. The paint apps came out clean. Look at that. It's really nice. Got her gauntlets right there. And it's sculpted all the way to her hands right there. You can see the trimming where it ends on the gauntlets on her, the top of her hand. That's sculpted too. That is so good, man. She's got a right fist for a default hand and a new style open hand right here. That looks really nice because, and this is what makes this better than the love triangle one. You know, articulation wins here for sure because you can actually get her arms, her hand to touch the center piece of her forehead. That is so important for Jean Grey. I love that. You could not do that with this one at all. It's the best you would get is this, you know? Like the You Can't See Me John Cena. That's the best you would get. The belt stays in. It's not loose like this. You think they did a little too much here on the legs? You think they over-designed it? I think just a little bit. Doesn't bother me, but I just kind of wish they stuck to this. The thigh plating right there, I feel like that's all that's needed. It didn't need to be overdone. Unless they were going to add some color to it, like on the boots or the thighs. Now for accessories, she comes with 2 open hands, and these are not rehashed. Then lastly, this is her alternate head with her hair down, and this looks really nice. I do like this. Okay, I will say, going back, the ponytail, doing the comparisons with the head sculpts, the ponytail head, I do like more on the 97 version. But I will say, yeah. When it comes to the hair down, I like the love triangle more. So, yeah, you guys were right saying that this one was better. Maybe I got caught in the hype, but having them in hand, this one is definitely better. Just because she looks a little more power-focused. She does have that slight seductive look. Whereas this one's just, you know, she's just smiling. But that's not to say this is a bad head at all. It's not. It's really nice. Yeah, man, I still like both head sculpts. I'm not going to bother doing a head swaps. The colors do not match at all. So I only do swaps when they make sense. Again, very nice paint apps. I'm so content with this one. For articulation, you're not going to get much movement with the long hair. Just like down and left, right, and pivot because it's on a ball joint. But if I bring out the one with the ponytail, that's where you're going to get the best range. And so she'll look up about that far up. Doesn't feel like much, but when you compare it to the one with the hair down, yeah, there's a difference. And then she looks down, left, right, again, pivots nicely. It rocks around. Her arms move about that far up and down, you know, up, down movement right there. And you got the bicep swivel, double jointed arms, which are super important, and wrist swivel, wrist hinge, ball jointed belly rocker, so it does move forward about that much and about that far back. It does swivel. You get some nice pivoting there too, and yeah, it just rocks around. You definitely get more than with this. I still think they should have went the extra mile and found a way to do that upper torso swivel cut just to get a little bit more range. Her legs spread out that far. That's a good spread. And no dirty jokes. Her legs kick up that far and that far back, awkward frontward split. The mobility can feel a little stiff. No, they rock around just fine. And you got the thigh swivel, double jointed pinless knees, no heel to the Jean Grey butt, and you got her ankles that move up, down, and you got that all around rocker. I'm in the minority that really love these head sculpts for Jean. We get lovely new aesthetics all around, especially in key areas that I wish the Love Triangle one had with the sculpted designs on the blue area. Much better in articulation too. You get better poses out of this one. If you missed out on the 3-pack Jean, even though not comic, this will suffice until we get an updated comic one. I'm going high with an 8.5 out of 10. Lastly, probably the most polarizing reaction in the community, seeing the Goblin Queen offered outside the HasLab, but in animation form and not her comic book look. Let's see how Hasbro did, giving us a second chance with offering this new version of the Madeline Pryor character. Just like X-Cutioner, I'm going to give you the short gist of this character. Madeline Pryor is Cyclops' first wife, Cable's mother, and a clone of Jean Grey created by Mr. Sinister. After Cyclops abandoned her and her son, she was tricked and seduced by demons to harness great demonic power, becoming the Goblin Queen. And the queen she is. What a lovely, lovely head sculpt. I like the dark lipstick there. Just like the Jean Grey figure, the paint apps just came out clean on the face. The eyes came out nice and sharp, the eyebrows, all that. She's got that nice flowy hairstyle in animated form. She's got her medallion on the cape and a very glossy red paint. The cape is pretty cool, I gotta say. It's pretty cool. It's got a nice sculpt to it. It's really nice, and textures on the inside too. That's nice. The only thing is, like, why they put the serial number inside the cape? That's dumb. It should be under the feet. It's an all new sculpt basically. I would say the torso and the legs are new and the arms are reused for sure, but yeah, the legs are definitely new because that's a low thigh cut right there. Normally they go high, but you know, not to break up the aesthetics right there. I understand why they had to go low with the thigh swivel. And am I tripping or something? But she looks to have a very pinkish looking skin tone. Now, I haven't seen how she looked in the animated series yet. I have not seen her appear in any like clips or trailers. I'm trying to stay away from that, even though it's I can't help myself sometimes, but just going off the packaging, it looks like she has a little bit of a pinkish pigmentation. If so, man, I think it's pretty spot on. You know, putting the figure compared to the packaging, the artwork on the packaging, it looks pretty good. Alright, so kind of like Magneto, I'm a little bothered by having this figure. Just because I feel like it should be the HasLab Madeline Pryor in my hands, but a more comic accurate. The one they did in the HasLab was more 2015 modern comic style. I want the 80s comic style to match and go with my 80s X-Men collection on my display. I don't like mixing modern and comic style, so yeah, I wanted that 80s version with her boobs hanging out. And I remember, man, leave it to Hasbro to make themselves look bad, man. I remember, I think it was Dan Yoon on an Unparalleled Universe live stream where he said, yeah, they can't do anything like boobs when asked about like the cleavage and stuff like that, right? From the HasLab, he said like, no, they can't do anything like that. Then what the fuck am I looking at right here, man? I know boobs when I see them, and there it is, full on cleavage. So things must have changed, because I know tickle bitties when I see them. I don't get why we get it here and we didn't get it on a HasLab of all thing, and this is being released in mass retail. You see what I'm saying here, man? Let Hasbro make themselves look bad. Yeah, the aesthetics continue on the back, as you can see. Real nice aesthetics there. She's got the glutes. They even painted her fingernails, which is something they rarely do, and it's nice to see that touch. For accessories, she comes with baby Cable wrapped up in this blanket, and you get the X-Men logo around it. And it is the same thing from the baby Nightcrawler, and the baby Hulk. So just a new head right there, and it's not looking like Cable, bro. That's not his hairdo. That's the Blob's hairdo, bro. You sure this isn't Blob? That's one chunky looking baby. And the X-Men logo deco is only on the front and not the back. Since when the fuck did my collection become a nursery? Then lastly, she comes with those lame twirling effects that we've seen rehashed several times, but in a green translucent plastic. And then she has a pair of fists. And unlike the open hands, I do wish that at least on the thumbs, they painted her fingernails in black. Yeah, loss of detail there. Now to cover articulation for the Goblin Queen, her head is on a ball joint, so she's not going to look up much because of that hair. She'll look better down and left to right. It does pivot some. That's about it, and it rocks around, but, you know, limited. And her arms move about that far up, you know, move them up, down, and you got the bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, wrist swivel, and a wrist hinge. Upper torso, not much movement there either. Yeah, it's not even going to move down. It does move back. You get the swivel, you get the pivot, you get her legs that spread that far apart, and her legs can kick up that far. Can you get a frontward split? Yeah, a little awkward looking, but a little better than awkward. The legs have some good rocking motion. Thigh swivel right there. Double jointed knees. No heel to the Goblin Queen butt. And you got the ankles that move up that far, down, and they rock all around. Even though this isn't the version I wanted, since my X-Men shelf is both comic and animated series inspired, this will be a fill-in for now until I can get a comic-accurate version of that 80s Inferno series Madeline Pryor. I'm impressed again with more love shown to the aesthetics. I wanted her to look a little more evil though. A more demonic face would have helped. I have mixed feelings about this release, but just judging the adaptation from animation to figure form based off the packaging art, she came out spot on. A 7.5 out of 10. Now for some comparisons, here is leader Magneto next to the Wave 1 Magneto. Here is Nightcrawler next to Morph. Easy to make him look like how he does in X-Men 97. Just gotta pop the AOA Wave head onto the Morph body. Here is the X-Cutioner next to one of his biggest rivals, the Punisher. Here are the comic versions of Cyclops and Jean Grey next to their animated series counterparts. Lastly, here is Goblin Queen next to Black Queen and Mr. Sinister. And now to wrap things up, my final rating as a collective is an 8.5 out of 10. Despite some of my biggest gripes, this is still one of their best waves put out as it's stacked from top to bottom. I like every figure in this wave. I already said what I needed to say about the figures. Nothing got below 7, and if you don't know my rating system, then 1 to 4s are caca, 5 to 6s are mids, 7s are average, 8 is good, 9s are great, and 10s are the best of the best. The figures here are either going to fill gaps, add, or replace in your collection as it does for mine. If well received, then we might get comic versions that'll need some tweaks, like the X-Cutioner, who needs his chainmail armored sleeves and a soft goods cloak connecting to his mask, similar to how Toy Biz did it in their vintage line, but keeping the articulation here. And of course an 80s comic accurate Goblin Queen to go with my 80s X-Men. Nightcrawler and Cyclops are good updates. Love posing Jean. Magneto, I might push his rating to an 8 after getting a good crossed arms pose for him. Goblin Queen came out gorgeous in photos. And the X-Cutioner to me is the best in the wave. I hope this video gets out the day before or the day of when X-Men 97 starts streaming. I'm very excited yet very skeptical at the same time because I don't want them ruining a classic. I haven't had a good X-Men cartoon since Wolverine and the X-Men, which was short-lived. I wish this wave didn't spoil Goblin Queen and X-Cutioner, man, because these are characters I wanted to be surprised about while watching. But it is what it is. I hope the show is successful so that we can get a Spider-Man 98, since the first trailer showed an Easter egg of that universe still existing. Anyways, if you are watching this review and have watched the X-Men 97 season premiere, let me know what are your thoughts without spoiling it in the comments. If this video gets out on time for March 20th, then I just want to say happy X-Men 97 Day, everyone. Now I kick it back to you. What do you think of this X-Men 97 Wave 2? Blows the first one away in my opinion. Who is your favorite and least favorite in the wave? Feel free to rank them all. Comment below, let me know, we'll chat about it. Thanks for watching another Marvel Legends review. Please follow me on Instagram if you haven't already at xmanny87. Hit the notification bell so you always know when my latest videos are up. Share and subscribe if you're new. See you on the next review. Peace, peace.